good old days of raw, unapologetic action movies over in Hollywood. We are just halfway through 2023 and we have already witnessed some of the best action movies in the past few years. Is John Wick unarguably the best action movie of the year already? Or is it that people are losing interest in these genres, which is why it's so rare to find movies that give importance to practical fights and film sets? John Wick Chapter 4 is the continuation of the famous John Wick trilogy and supposedly the last film of the franchise for a very long time. Directed by Chad Stahelski, who also directed previous John Wick films, this chapter continues its journey from where it ended in Parabellum, where John miraculously survives the fall from the Continental. We have Ian McShane reprising his role as Winston and late Rance Reddick, rest in peace, who plays Sharon as the concierge of the Hotel Continental. Continuing with the tradition of adding big action heroes in the franchise, we have Donnie Yen playing the role of a blind man again as Kane, who is equally, if not more badass than John Wick himself. We also have Scott Adkins buffed up to nerf his powers down and Bill Skarsgård playing the main villain of the movie. Hiroyuki Sanada as Koji is an old friend of John Wick who obviously and sadly meets with the same fate like everyone else who's helped John Wick in the past. It's hard to find a good balance between a close-fitting storyline and a great action movie in the same film. Films that focus more on the action bit always lose out on building an important story along the way. The Grey Man from Netflix is a great example of this. Action in that movie was okay, good. However, we could not feel any emotional connection for the character and his motivations, which ultimately leads us to feel quite disconnected with the movie. The reason John Wick has been so successful is because it found the soft spot wherein it gives enough emotional backstory of why we should care about the protagonist, but at the same time it does not divert from the main selling point of the movie, its unique action sequences that keeps getting better and crazier, in a good way of course. And having great action sequence is also knowing when to stop. This movie is 169 minutes and you never get to feel the length. As from the word go, we have various action sequences that also don't go on for far too long, making it tiring for viewers. The basic premise of the movie sets the tone for John Wick's attempt to walk away from this world, free of all his obligations to the high table. He kills the elder, the one who sits above the table, at the very beginning of the movie. In response, the Marquis Vincent de Gramont, a high table member, summons New York Continental Hotel manager Winston and his concierge and strips him of the title and destroys New York Continental. Getting back at him and restoring the New York Continental and John Wick finally getting his way out through the rule of books is what the movie is all about. It is very rare that in an action movie I am mentioning something about the visual experience and cinematic shots that are really vibrant, sometimes really dark, whereas sometimes really colorful, that really blends in with what the situation or what the mood is going to be. The third act of the movie, where they have to basically shoot one another, is shot in one of the most beautiful ways possible, and that is just one of the few things to admire about this movie. In general, what always concerns people is the repetition of action sequences. If I told someone who's never watched a single John Wick movie that there's 4 of them about a guy who was a hitman who is not in his prime anymore and kills everyone that stands in his way. Obviously this is an oversimplification, but many can't even imagine taking a franchise 4 movies down that have more action sequences than it has conversations and yet always has something new to offer to the audiences. This is where I think Chad as a director really shines, adding new challenges to the similar kind of action set pieces that we've grown to love and admire. If it was a shootout while riding a bike, they would take one further and make it bikes versus a horse. If it was just guns, they would just add swords to make it more challenging. Just the amount of creativity that Chad manages to sprinkle in each new franchise is really commendable to say the least. In this chapter as well, expect nothing less. We have a 60-year-old Keanu Reeves taking on the entire world, and he makes it believe that he's still got it in him. Most of the action shots we can clearly see his face and notice that he's the one doing most of his stunts. When a director of such immense knowledge around action and an actor who's willing to give everything collaborate, we get a memorable piece of art that is worth savoring every moment. Donnie Yen as Kane simply steals the show for me. He has kind of nailed the role of playing a blind man, so much so that the little micro expressions on him while he's speaking or when he's trying to look for something come so naturally and translate so well through the screen. He is so chill and just badass with his slick action moves, and he obviously has to go against his old friend John Wick for the sake of his daughter. The audience wanted more of Donnie Yen and Keanu Reeves together in a screen, and they got exactly that. Especially the staircase fight scene had everyone go bonkers in the theaters. Other supporting cast do a stellar job as well. It all seems so comprehensible when every supporting cast gives their all, truly believing they too are a part of this world that they have created. Each cast, including Mr. Nobody or Scott Adkins, you name it, and they fit right in the movie, also contributing to the progression of the movie. One thing that might stand out that could bother you at times might be Bill's character, Marquis de Gramo. He is shown as a ruthless and daunting character. His introduction sequence and scenes that follows shortly after are really convincing to show him as the main villain John Wick would have to fight with. However, as the movie progresses and we reach the third act, the character slowly and suddenly transforms to be timid and certainly looks like someone who's got nothing. He's fearful, he is evasive, and he's dumb, for a lack of better word. I mean, that is supposedly the last kill of John Wick. I would have personally liked that scene to be more active and pressing. We all know now, for better or worse, our beloved hero John Wick is dead. There are several rumors and fan theories suggesting there might be a way back, but whatever is said and done, the director definitely is taking a break with John Wick movies, at least for a foreseeable future. And as much as it hurts to think we won't be able to see Baba Yaga on the big screens anymore, I think this is just about the right time to hang the boots for John Wick and close the chapter once and for all. When the movie is at its peak, we will see more of John Wick in the upcoming Ballerina with Ana de Armas, but that movie will be set before the timelines of John Wick 4 and right after John Wick 3 Parabellum. Let me know what you guys think about the ending of chapter 4 and if you agree this was the right time to say goodbye to the character. Thanks a lot for watching the video till the end. See you in the next one.